Hello and welcome back to the channel for another One Fight Night preview. Today it is 1168, one of the biggest cards of the year for One Championship. They return to the United States after One Fight Night 10 last year, this time at the Ball Arena in Denver on September 6th, a much bigger venue than last time. And yeah, excited to get into this card. There's a lot to get to, so I won't spend too much time before we dive into it fight by fight as always. I will say, if you haven't seen any of the other coverage I've put out on this channel, you can go check that out right now. We went back and watched the first fight between Jonathan Haggerty and Superlek, took a few notes from that and spoke about what I think will be the best fight on this card. So we did already go through some of these matchups, but we will do that again here today as always. Also, if you're new to this channel or whatever, drop a subscribe. I'm going to have some stuff going out after this event, and hopefully, you know, some kind of different things I want to do with this channel. So we'll see how that goes. But either way, drop a like, all that good stuff. It does mean a lot. A couple other housekeeping things I suppose to get to from this card. The originally planned main event was cancelled a couple of months ago now. We were supposed to have the atomweight MMA world champion, Stamp Fairtex, going up against the strawweight champion, Zhong Jingnan. So Stamp going for two weight status rather. That got cancelled before her fight at 1167, which was the start of June. So must have been May sometime. It was a couple of weeks out from that fight, and she has not returned yet. So we do not have that fight. And also, a couple of days before I was going to record this video, I was going to record this video early, and I decided not to. And I'm glad I did that, because the co-main event, a contest I was very excited for, although, you know, I do enjoy submission grappling more than most people, so that's understandable. But Mikey Musumeci versus Cade Ruotolo, a super fight in grappling, a huge grappling match that has also been cancelled. Cade is dealing with some injuries after his incredible CJI win, which, you know, it was a tough turnaround. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I hope that gets rebooked. The Atlanta card that's coming up later this year is already stacked, so I don't know whether it will be able to go on there. I think it would still be cool to do it in the US, but you know, we'll see what happens with that, how long Cade needs to come back and things like that. But without further ado, let's dive in to this card. I will just pull the card up on screen for you. Obviously, like I said, card has gone through some changes, so the Cade and Mikey matchup is no longer on here, despite the fact that this match graphic still has it. Match graphic, card graphic, you know what I mean? It's a little bit out of date because this graphic came out like a month ago at this point. But either way, bout number one, kicking the night off with some flyweight Muay Thai action between Sean Climaco and Johan Estupinan. I think this is a fun card opener. Estupinan, you know, apologies, man. Estupinan is 21 years old. He's got 2 wins in one already. He was on the 1167 show at the Impact Arena, which was a big card. So, you know, they're clearly giving him some good spotlights here. Sean Climaco, makes a lot of sense to have him on this card, being that he's one of the American fighters on the roster. He did win the Road to One tournament to earn his contract. And he defeated Jose Cruz, who is up in the next matchup that we will get to in a minute. So good opener, I think, and a good spot for Estupinan, and a good spot for Climaco to get this kind of, you know, opportunity to fight in front of the US crowd and stuff like that. So I think it's a good first bout. Should be a fun one. Second bout, another striking contest in the flyweight Muay Thai division. Johan Ghazali taking on, I assume it's Jose Cruz, or it could be Jose, so I apologize. Names, One Championship previews, you know, it's going to happen. Yeah, cool spot for Johan Ghazali to get on this card. I'm very glad that he was able to be on there. And of course, this is a really important fight for him. You know, he is trying to bounce back from his first defeat in one, went on an absolute tear to earn his contract, stopping people on Friday fights. Stopped Edgar Tabarez in his main roster debut, and then suffered a defeat, a shock upset at 1167 to Nguyen Tran Doi Nat. I didn't think Ghazali looked particularly good on that night. I thought he fought quite recklessly and didn't maybe take his opponent serious enough. But I do think that it will be a really valuable learning experience for him, and I would expect him to get a finish here over Cruz. I mean, the fact that Climaco stopped him, who was in the fight before, and Ghazali is a very, very good prospect, still a teenager, super aggressive, tons of power. This will be a fun one whilst it lasts, but I would expect Ghazali to get him out of there in that one. Bout number 3, one of the fights that I'm very, very interested in because, of course, it features lightweight MMA prospect Adrian Lee the younger sibling of Angela and Christian. Obviously, Angela, former world champion in one, Christian, current two-weight world champion in one, and of course, the late Victoria Lee as well. He made his pro debut at 1167, got the submission finish over Antonio Mamarella. The wrestling fan in me really struggles to not call him Santino Mamarella, which is nobody. I mean, I don't know whose name that is because it's a combination of different names I've made up. But hey, Adrian Lee is going to be fighting Nico Cornejo here, who is 2-0. He is a lot older than Adrian. He's 35 years old. He's got some decent amateur experience as well. I think he had 5 amateur fights, maybe. So I think this is a good next step for Adrian, honestly, like in terms of the just, you know, maybe not like super high caliber. I don't know. I haven't watched too much of Nico Cornejo, but in terms of the experience factor, right? He's 2-0. He's got an amateur background. I think this is a good little step up here for Adrian Lee. I would expect him to come through it. But who knows? You know, we really haven't seen that much of him. We saw him get the win at the Impact Arena, as I said, but even then, I didn't feel like I got to see loads of his game. He kind of got a takedown very early and then just kind of dominated the fight from that point on before finishing it in the second. So we will see how that one plays out as well, but I am excited for that one. Bout number 4 is in the strawweight MMA division. It is Hiroba Minowa taking on Sanzar Zakharov. Not a fight that I'm, you know, necessarily dying to see, but interesting to see it on this card, actually. Surprised they put it on this night. Hiroba Minowa, of course, has fought some of the best guys in this weight class. He recently rebounded from a 3-fight losing streak where he beat Jeremy Miado via split decision. And Zakharov is undefeated at 21 years old. He is 10-0. He's got 3 wins on the Friday Fight Series. Some of the wins on his pro record are not outstanding, just when you look at the opponents he was facing. But clearly, this is a guy that one think has got real potential in this strawweight division. You know, if he's able to get past a guy like Minowa, who, all right, maybe has not been on the best run, but you know, he beat Jeremy Miado last time out, who again also was not on the best of runs. But if Zakharov can beat Minowa, then he's already going to be in that mix with at least, you know, the strawweight division at the very top. You know, you've kind of got your elite guys, and then there's a bunch of guys that are all in and around the same level. And I think Zakharov can put himself into that category. And then you're only 1 win, maybe 2 away from talks of a title shot. So a huge fight for Zakharov. And I think he is why this fight is on this card, to maybe get some more eyeballs on him if he's able to come through against Minowa, which won't be easy. Bout number 5, atomweight MMA division. You've got Elise Anderson versus Victoria Souza. Elise Anderson featured on the last time that one were in the US One Fight Night 10, where she got stopped by Stamp, which was a very, very tough assignment, in fairness. She takes on Victoria Souza, who's coming off of the biggest win of her career, a submission win over Itsuki Hirata at 1167. I thought Hirata would get the nod in that one, and she just caught Hirata in a guillotine as she was going for the takedown. It was a very, very impressive win, and by far the most confident I think we've seen Souza to date. So I'm excited to see how she gets on here. I think the momentum might carry her quite well through this, although I would say that Elise Anderson is probably a bit better on paper. But like I said, the momentum of that win, I think, might end up being a big factor for Souza in this atomweight matchup. About number 6, we have got pronunciation. That's what we've got. Hiroyuki Tetsuka taking on Izzy Fitikefu. Tetsuka has been on a great run. I'm surprised that they put this matchup together. I think that if the welterweight division had been more active, then I don't think this would be happening, but it just hasn't been. Of course, the champion is Christian Lee. He's going to be back at Atlanta, but you know, he's been gone for a long time and hasn't defended that title yet. The welterweight one, that is. He'll be defending his lightweight title later this year. Tetsuka on a 5-fight winning streak, finished all of his fights, has already fought twice this year. And then you've got Fitikefu, who is 8-1. He lost his one debut via a split decision, but did bounce back with a win last time out. I would expect Tetsuka to come through this. I just think he's looked very good. Not to downplay Fitikefu and what he brings to the table, I just think Tetsuka is probably a level above most of the guys in this division right now. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him fight Christian Lee at some point next year. About number 7, we've got a lightweight MMA contest. Speaking of Christian Lee's divisions, Maurice Abevi taking on Samat Mamedov here. Maurice Abevi still only 24 years old, which is super impressive considering the amount of experience he's got at this stage. He's got back-to-back wins in one championship now after losing his debut to Halil Amir, who I think is one of the most talented guys one have got in their MMA divisions. So not necessarily a bad loss by any means. Taking on Mamedov, 10 years old. He is certainly not. He is 10-0 at 25 years old. This is his one debut. He has got 6 wins by submission on his record. Haven't seen that much of him. If he's being brought in to face Maurice Baby straight off the bat, then I would imagine he's a pretty good fighter. I think that if he beats a baby, you're automatically putting him in terms of the lightweight division. I know that Halil went down a weight class in his last fight, but you're putting him in the mix with Halil. Obviously, you would expect the champion of this division. No, I'm talking about the wrong division, aren't I? Christian Lee is the champion of this division. He is defending the title against Alibek Razalov. So ignore me. But either way, Maurice Baby versus Samat Mamedov. Good fight for the lightweight division. Happy to see, some important fights going down in that weight class, and excited to see, how good Mamedov is and whether he can put himself right in the mix here. This is where we get to the best fights of the card, of course, from bout number 8 onwards. And we have got a fight that is chaotic, and I'm here for it. You've got former 1 bantamweight MMA world champion, John Lineker. A fantastic fighter. I love John Lineker. Who doesn't like watching John Lineker, right? He's going to be fighting in Muay Thai against Asa Tempel, because why not? As I have said many, many times on the One on SK podcast with Nick Atkin, I wish this was John Lineker versus Rod Tang. I think that would have been fantastic. But I am excited to watch John Lineker fight in Muay Thai. When he fights in MMA, he basically just stuffs takedowns so that he can box anyway. So he's going to let his hands go. And Asa Tempel is a very, very good fighter, a very, very good striker, who has got back-to-back wins in one now. I think he was back-to-back ones. Did he lose his debut? I know he's got 2 wins and a loss, and he beat Rambolek last time out. It was a very, very good win for him. I assume this is John Lineker's first Muay Thai fight. I don't know. Maybe he had some before. His last fight was very strange. At 1165, he stepped in to replace Sage Northcutt and fought Shinya Aoki at lightweight on the same day or something like that, like a day's notice, and obviously lost that fight. But before that was on a great run. He had that no contest with Fabricio Andrade, the champion, and then he lost to Andrade, but bounced back and beat 2 top contenders in Stephen Lohman and Kim Jai-Woong. So John Lineker is still in the mix, and I'm excited to see how he gets on here. This fight should be very, very entertaining, at least. Bout number 9, you've got the former 2-weight world champion in one, Ong Lathan Sang, taking on the undefeated Shamil Erdogan, who got a very nice debut at One Friday Fights 22. He is 9-0. He defeated Fan Rong, who is also the last opponent that Ong La fought. That was actually in Denver last year at One Fight Night 10. I spoke to Ong La the week before this card goes down. You can check that interview out over at Violent Money TV. I will put the link to that in this description. Always good to chat to the Burmese Python. And he's super focused. That has been a huge part of this winning streak that he's been able to put together. And whilst he might not be facing the same caliber of opponents as he was when he was having that kind of tough run, when he had the losses to Renya Derrida and Vitaly Bigdash, I would say they're probably a level above. RDR and Bigdash, definitely a level above even. Some of the guys that Ong La has beaten as of late. But needless to say, he has looked, confident again. And confident Ong La is a scary man indeed. How he will do against Shamil Erdogan, I'm not sure. I'm interested to see how this one goes down. If Shamil wins this, then he's probably next for a title shot. I did speak to Ong La about this, and he had some very interesting takes on Shamil and some of the things that he has said. So I am very, very excited to watch this one go down. And finally, our last 2 fights of the night, because of course Cade Ruotolo versus Mikey Musumeci is no longer happening. Bout number 10, catchweight Muay Thai, a clash of legends, Liam Harrison versus Sexan in Muay Thai. Both guys probably looking at the last few fights of their careers, potentially the last fights of their careers even. I think Liam's going to carry on for a little bit longer, but Sexan, I could see him probably walking away. Maybe one more fight in Thailand to go out on or something like that, but people were calling for this fight to be made for ages before it got announced, and there's a good reason for that. It's the perfect fight to make for both guys at this stages in their career. Sexan definitely winding it down, coming off of a loss. after he was going to retire at the start of 2023. And Liam, of course, has had, 2 years out. Was supposed to return at 1167, and that didn't happen. That is a long story, so we won't get into that. But yeah, this is a perfect fight for both these guys. Two of the most, fan-friendly fighters out there, just in terms of the style they bring to the table. And this is going to be an absolute firefight whilst it lasts. And I'm just stoked to see Liam back in there after all this time. And yeah, this is the perfect opponent for him to come back and fight at this stage in his career. So I couldn't be more excited for this one. And finally, I'm going to take a sip of my drink right here. The main event. Jonathan Haggerty puts the Bantamweight Muay Thai World Championship on the line against Superlek. It is one of the best matchups of the year in one championship. It is maybe not the main event that you would have wanted because Stamp brings a lot of eyeballs, whatever she's doing. But in terms of, what is the best fight on the card? What is the most high-level fight on the card? What is the fight on the card that people have wanted to see the most? It is Jonathan Haggerty versus Superlek. As I said right at the start, these guys did fight 6 years ago, I believe it was now. Before they both signed to one championship, Haggerty was like 21. Superlek was already one of the best in the world at that point, and Superlek did stop him due to a cut above his eye, which didn't look too bad, if we're being honest. I think, if that cut had, if he got that cut in this fight, they probably wouldn't stop it. But it's very different, things. He's 27 years old now. He was in a title fight, and, it was a long time ago. So this fight is huge. Again, please go watch that video that I put up, because I think I made a really compelling argument for why watching that fight will make you more interested in this one. Because I think a lot of people will look at this fight and go, yeah, Haggerty's good, but he did have those losses to Rodtang. He did have a tough night against Felipe Lobo earlier this year, even if he did come out on top. And Superlek is one of, if not the best in the world. Look at his recent wins. He beat Contorny whilst being in, third gear almost, it seemed like. He beat Takeru after taking that fight as a replacement for Rodtang. And before that, he beat Rodtang. The guy is absolutely phenomenal. But he is going to be going up a weight class for this fight. Not to say that he's a small flyweight by any means. So I don't expect there to be a huge size difference between these two. But what I am interested in is the changes that Haggerty has made over the years. Because in their first meeting, and even in Haggerty's fights against Rodtang, the issues he tended to have was when people kind of close the distance on him and force him into a little bit of a brawl at points. Maybe he was a little bit too willing to get involved in that. But Haggerty up at bantamweight just looks so much more confident, so much more physically imposing. Look at the finishes over Nongo and Fabricio Andrade, and he looks like he is living up to the general nickname, like I said, imposing, aggressive, powerful, and able to bully people a little bit. And Felipe Lobo, like I said, really did take it to him in that fight. And there were some weaknesses there for sure. Felipe Lobo was able to hurt him. But what was really, really important for Haggerty is he was able to come through it. He was able to take a knee, get back up, and then finish Felipe Lobo in that third round, I believe it was, at One Fight Night 19 earlier this year. And that is so important for Haggerty in this fight, because I do think he can hurt Superlek. He has so much more power than he did back then. They say it on commentary if you go back and watch that first fight that they had in Yokkao, and Haggerty just doesn't have the power that a lot of the other Brits or European fighters do to really pose these Thai technicians problems. Haggerty has that now. He has that power up at bantamweight. How will Superlek's power transfer over? I'm just not sure. He does have power, but it's not really, you don't see Superlek take people out with one punch. He tends to catch a lot of people with head kicks. I mean, the damage he did to Takeru's legs with his leg kicks are absolutely phenomenal. And I think that there is a good chance, whilst if you ask me to put money on it, I would probably tell you that Superlek is still the safe bet, because I would say he's probably the better technical fighter. I think this fight is very, very close, because I think Haggerty just has a lot of physical advantages. And I can see a world in which Superlek goes for a kick and Haggerty is able to time a right hand or a left hook or something and really hurt him. I think this fight is absolutely fantastic. I loved it when it got put together, and the closer it's got, this is how you know it's a great fight. When the closer it gets, the more conflicted you are in your head about who's going to take it. And that makes me more excited for this fight. Let me know in the comments, guys, which fight are you most excited for on this card? Who is going to take the main event between Jonathan Haggerty and Superlate? Who leaves the Ball Arena in Denver with the Bantamweight Muay Thai World Championship? What a fight. I hope that this card delivers for one. I mean, the event in Broomfield, Colorado last year, One Fight Night 10, some of the fights were like good, not amazing. You know, there were some great performances for sure from the likes of Rodtang and Stamp. But the crowd was fantastic. This is in a bigger arena, so I hope that that translates just as well to the Ball Arena. And yeah, that is it for 168. I hope you all have a great time watching the fight at September 6th, whether like me, you will be watching it from home or whether you're going to be there in person. Like I said, drop a subscribe, go check out the other content I've got on this card. But until then, I will catch you after all of the action at the Ball Arena is said and done. That will be next week at some point. All right. Until then, enjoy the fights.